Hey guys, how's it going? We're gonna do two back-to-back videos today, maybe a third one, but lately I've done some cannabis videos. I've done some videos on different levels of finding yourself, whether it be a relationship between you and a consenting partner. And I will be doing a video on why I keep saying consent and what I'm talking about, especially with the holiday seasons coming about. I will do that maybe today, maybe next week, but I prefer to end on a happier video kind of note. I also do film advice on this channel and artistic advice on this channel. So I'm going to do one about family sitcoms or situation comedies. Now, to my knowledge, the first family sitcom was I Love Lucy in the 1950s with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, a actual married couple of a mixed marriage, mixed race marriage, which nowadays doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but back then it was. Lucille Ball was I believe a blonde woman, but she did dye her hair red. The red wasn't actually her hair color. And then Desi Arnaz was her Cuban. Wait, was he Cuban? Assistant, can you look that up? Was Desi Arnaz Cuban? Can you look that up for me while I do the rest of this video? Was Desi Arnaz Cuban? Anyway, so while my assistant's looking that up, not that it matters for the point of the video I'm doing here, but I just educational. I thought, was he Cuban? Was he Mexican? I can't remember. Okay, he was Cuban. I thought so. Okay, so the first family sitcom to my knowledge was I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball was married to a band singer, Desi Arnaz. And they had their two friends. Don't know much about the show. I've only seen a couple episodes. And back then, 1950s, they did a lot more episodes on TV instead of your usual 22 episodes a season. And they were longer than 22 minutes, I believe. Not much longer, but they were longer. Let me give you an example. The 1962 show, The Munsters, was a series that lasted 2 years, but yet it had 70 episodes because both seasons were 35 episodes a season. On average, nowadays, you got 22 episodes to 26 episodes a season. At 22, actually maybe with commercials now, I think it's 21 minutes of actual show. The rest, unfortunately, is commercials. How these writers do it sometimes, I don't know, but I'm learning. So I'm going to say, as the family sitcom has come back, there's been periods where even I thought, well, is it dead? Is it not dead? Because there was a period of time when sitcoms were dying in North America. I mean, Canada hasn't had much of a robust television market, at least when it came to sitcoms back in the 80s and stuff like that. There was Leo and Me, which was actually a TV series that you can find clips of, but not the whole show, with Michael Jackson, who was 15, I believe, playing a 10-year-old. That's how short he was. Wait, not Michael Jackson. Whoops. Michael J. Fox. Anyway, so I'm going to say that there was family sitcoms in the 50s with Lucille Ball, and Desi Arnaz, I Love Lucy. Then there was Make Room for Daddy and countless other shows in the 50s. Leave It to Beaver, all those shows. Then in the 60s, it seems like TV was going through a magical phase, because you had the or I should say fantasy phase, because you had the Munsters, which was a family of monsters. You had the Addams family, which we all know who that is, and if you don't, you must have been born under a rock. No, I'm just kidding. Go look it up. The Munsters and the Addams family are very similar, but very, but they had their own twist. Then you had in the in the 60s as well. Sorry, you also had Bewitched, with a mortal man married to a witch. And then you had in the 70s, it's like TV sitcoms went through this evolution thanks to, I believe, Norman Lear, who was like, let's talk about real issues people talk about around the kitchen table. So you had All in the Family, which was an amazing show, is an amazing show. If it wasn't for All in the Family, we wouldn't have the sitcoms we do now that deal with issues. Then you had, in the 70s, you did have escapist television with Happy Days and the late, great Gary Marshall. Then in the 80s, sitcoms were almost dead. They were playing, but they weren't popular. They were seen as stale. There was a lot of copycat-ish type of material. You had like Major Dad. You had Too Close for Comfort, but that wasn't really a family show. Then it was a family show, but I don't think it was about a family per se, just the family. It was, and then you had in the mid 80s, which was 1984, was when things started to shift, and that is credited with Bill Cosby, unfortunately. Allegedly, unfortunately, sorry. Then you had, because of Cosby, as much as people might not want to give him credit now, you had family sitcoms coming back. You had Alf. You had you had Family Ties with Michael J. Fox. Then you had where in the late 80s, the TGIF lineup was starting to form. You had, which stood for Thank Goodness It's Friday, or Thank God It's Friday, however you want to say it, on ABC. You had like Family Matters, Full House. Now you got Fuller House. But anyways, then it was seen family sitcoms were seen where, again, parents and children alike could watch them. Now they were cheesy or PG friendly compared to today's stuff. Then you had, at the beginning of the 90s, Full House was really taking off, and you had a new way of looking at the family with Home Improvement and Tim Allen and a man and a woman living together, and what makes a man and a woman's marriage work, even though they're polar opposites. Then, in my opinion, only my opinion, in the late 90s, maybe 96, 97, family sitcoms were starting to die out. They weren't seen as advertiser friendly because apparently advertisers only want to connect with the 19 to 35-year-olds. And in the late 90s, you had people that that didn't. In the late 90s, you had people that thought that, okay, well, the demographic for sitcoms, it's got to be the younger crowd, so let's give them what they called the show about nothing, which started with Seinfeld. Well, credited as it's credited as the show about nothing started with Seinfeld, but I beg to differ. I think the original show that started about nothing was Three's Company, with the late great John Ritter and Norman Fell and Audra Lindley, and then the still surviving Suzanne Summers, Richard Karn, and Don Knotts passed away too. But anyway, then they came out with more shows about nothing, which to me, if you really look at them, no show is about nothing. They just finally started having more real conversations, but not so much about topics like All in the Family. They just had topics about dating, about dumb things like, like in Seinfeld, they had the one about the man's ear. They had, classic show, but again, family sitcoms were dying out. They were seen as old. They were seen as stale. They were seen as how many husband and wife teams can you put together? Then, there was one that was kind of in the middle, which was Third Rock from the Sun, but they weren't really a family, but they were like a family within a family. Anyways, but my ultimate question that I'm finally going to shut up and talk about what makes a family sitcom? You have to feel like you want to be part of that family. Just like with Friends, you have to feel like you want to be part of that group. You have to know the personalities. Monica, for instance, with Friends, was the neurotic, clean freak. Chandler was the insecure, all the Friends characters were insecure in their own ways. Chandler was insecure about relationships and still had a lot of anger about it. Well, bitterness about the way his parents' marriage ended. But with family sitcoms, you have to feel like you want to go to, you want to be part of that family. You want to be in that spare room. Okay? Like if that house was to have a spare room and you were allowed to crash in that house, you would have crashed in that house. You would be the uncle or the cousin or the brother. But what I think makes a family sitcom work is not only feeling like you need to be part of it. You need to also feel like you're watching these kids, if they have kids, grow up, watching them go to college. You need to feel like you're watching your own family grow up. But then you also, how do you make it more real? You throw in the extended characters and the real life family moments that bring a family together. You do a Christmas episode where they're having turkey at the table. You do a Thanksgiving episode where they're having turkey at the table. You do a fun, weird Halloween special. You do, let's say you were writing the family sitcom and let's say your family memory times were, I'm just going to throw out there, let's say your times were Canada Day. So you do a Canada Day episode where you feel proud to be part of Canada. Or if you're in America, you do a 4th of July episode. You need to do this. You need to make it feel like you're part of it. But you need to go, what was special to my family? What was our moment? So then you turn around and you look at it and you go, okay, you know what? Our moment was Canada Day. Our moment was our camping trips, that even though we hated going on the camp trip and Dad bitched in the car, that was our time that we remember. Use part of your family if you need to. Make it feel like it's part, but then you create the extended family too. Like you have to have the annoying sister-in-law or the overbearing sister-in-law or the the father that the mother was, the father-in-law was, the husband, sorry, was never good enough for his daughter. But then you can't have just the generic husband. You can't just have a generic wife. You have to have, okay, what makes their marriage, their situation, their love work? You have to define that most of all. What makes this family love work? I will, now that I kind of gave a little bit of an outline, maybe I'll do like a little book on it and we'll figure it out. So later.